This is the hard truth about your VA benefits that nobody, not recruiters, not your transition counselor, not even other vets, understand well enough to tell you. Perfect example of this is the very first time I went to use my VA loan, a guy who I found via a billboard marketing to veterans as a VA lender sat me down and told me, hey, you can only use your VA loan one time, and this duplex only costs $80,000. I wouldn't recommend you waste your VA loan on this duplex. Now, for anyone of you who actually knows how the VA loan works, that's you can use it multiple times. I have a friend who had 4 VA loans out at the same time. You can buy millions of dollars of real estate in it as long as you use it the right way. That guy had no idea what he was talking about, yet he was marketing to veterans, and he cost me tens of thousands of dollars on that first house alone, and that pissed me off. A large part of the reason that this brand came into existence is that I wanted to document my journey, document everything I was learning, set the record straight, and ensure you didn't get screwed by the same things. And as we go through this journey, we keep finding things that we just don't know about. Just last month, I dropped a video on the Special Adaptive Housing Grant for veterans, which is a $117,000 grant for service members and vets who have certain disabilities. Now, I'm not personally qualified for it, but I didn't even know it existed, and I've been in this space educating vets on their benefits for 7, almost 8 years now. So if I'm still having trouble finding things that are owed to us, I know you are, and that's why I wanted to create this video. Another fun example is the first time I filed my VA benefits, and anyone who's been through the VA benefit process knows that there are just things that, like, if you don't know and you don't fight for yourself, you're never going to find out. Perfect example, I got blown up in 2010 in Afghanistan. I drove over an IED. I was in a truck, so, from the outside looking in, I'm okay. However, I have a hearing aid that I'm supposed to wear. Now, in my filing of disability benefits, I annotated my audiology reports, my hearing aid, and I put my combat action certificate in that record, which said, hey, on this date, this happened. Here's how my hearing was when I joined. Here's how my hearing is now. And mind you, I got issued that hearing aid while I was active duty. I was a staff sergeant in Hawaii at the time, my second to last duty station. I got gifted that hearing aid and told, you're going to wear this and it's going to solve the problem. I get out, I file a disability claim, and they did not give me the service connection. And it took me like 6 months before the VA finally was like, oops, we made an egregious error. You're right. Here you go. And had I not fought for that, I would never have gotten that benefit. And I would have been paying out the butt for my own hearing aid batteries because the VA just, whoops, we overlooked, like, you met all the requirements, like it literally said, met the hearing requirements, meets the service connection requirements, decision, not service connected. It was just baffling, right? It took me 2.5 years to get all the way through my VA claim. I think I filed 4 or 5 different times. There was always something that was coming up. One time I even said, hey, these 3 things are messed up. And they came back and said, we haven't looked at those 3 things, but we looked at something else and we decided you don't rate this anymore. And so it's a whole mess and it could be done better. So we're going to just kind of talk through and navigate some of this stuff because the unfortunate reality is you need to do the legwork if you want the benefits. And the whole point of this is not to gripe about the system, but it's just to help you guys understand what you need to do to navigate it so that you can get your benefits. Because the reality is, and this is kind of twofold, the United States and the VA, while not perfect, are hands down the absolute best at taking care of their service members and veterans of any other country in the world. No mortgage product in the world comes close to the VA loan. The VA hospital and medical care and everything else in the VA is something that most countries don't even offer, and we do it better than the ones who do. However, you have to know how to ask for it, and you have to know how to navigate that whole system, which is what we're talking about. The sad reality is that most veterans will never even use most of their benefits, not because they aren't qualified for it, but because they either think they're unqualified or were never told where to find the information or that they are qualified. The case in point being that only about 13% of veterans have ever used the VA home loan, and when they were polled a bunch of veterans about this, 33% of those vets just said lack of awareness was the reason they haven't. And I've personally talked to veterans who are absolutely qualified for the VA home loan who were under the assumption that they were not. And unfortunately, a lot of vets just assume that the VA is going to come find you and say, hey, did you know that you're entitled to this thing? And that's just not the case. In part because they may have implemented this change before you were eligible, and now that you're eligible, they told everyone, but they don't have a way to notify like, oh shoot, new guy's eligible for this, let's hunt him down. And so you have to know what benefits are out there to ask for them. And as part of this running this channel, I've spoken to hundreds of veterans. Some are owed tens of thousands of dollars in back pay. Some have been fighting the VA disability benefits thing for years, and others have never used their VA home loan. They don't even know it's zero down, or if they do, they don't know where to start, or they don't believe they're eligible, and there's just all this confusion. Now, we talked about that only 13% of veterans have ever used the VA loan, but another crazy one is how many veterans, and I don't have a statistic for this, either don't ever file for VA disability or don't update their file for VA disability. And this kind of stems from a couple of things. Some is like survival guilt. Like some veterans think that, hey, I'm okay, I'm alive. Like my buddies didn't make it, I'm okay, I'm alive. I don't need this stuff. I'm that's like an ego thing or a survivor guilt thing. Some of it is that they don't believe their injuries are bad enough to warrant filing. Some of it is that they don't know how to file, and therefore it's like daunting to get started. And so there's all these different veterans who are just missing out on opportunities and leaving a significant amount of money and or a home on the table, and it's really sad to see. And unfortunately, I hear about it all the time. But here's the reality, guys. The VA loan is not a favor. It's not a charity thing. It's not something that you should feel any way, shape, or form bad about going to get. It's a binding contract that you have with the government for having served in the military. Because you did X, the VA owes you Y, and you just have to go and tell them that you're owed it. Now, I am not, of course, talking about abusing the system and making stuff up in order to get additional benefits, but I'm talking about if you served and you meet the requirements for the VA loan, use the VA loan. If you served and you have injuries or ailments or pains or things recurring from your time in service, file for the disability. This would be akin to getting shot in combat and never filing for a Purple Heart because somebody else got hurt worse in your platoon and you didn't want to like measure up your Purple Heart to theirs. Like, you took a bullet. File for the Purple Heart. Get the disability or get the benefits that come with that. You earned it. It's contractual. It's not a charity case. Using your benefits is not selfish, it's strategic. You cannot lead, you cannot build, you can't serve your family, you cannot enjoy the life that you fought defending if you're too busy struggling through things in silence and not seeking the help that you earn, that you deserve every single bit of for the sacrifices you made for our great country. Like, I am not a handout guy. I don't fall into the whole entitlement thing. I love vets and I advocate for vets, and y'all are some entitled socialist. I am one of the first people to call out entitlement and victim mentality in service members and vets when they're complaining about not getting even more benefits. It drives me nuts because the system's so good. You don't need to complain about like little tiny things, but simultaneously, it's not a handout. I'm not here to normalize handouts. I'm here to normalize seeking the help you earned, you deserve, and you need in order to be able to lay a foundation for yourself to achieve that financial freedom, both from the benefits and the health and the mental side and all the other things that come together to help make you a whole ass weapon again. And I get it. I used to think that someone else needs these benefits more than me, and I would downplay my injuries, my stress, my needs, and I would keep things to myself, and I would harbor and deal with and whatever. And it almost cost me everything, right? I have lost buddies to this very thing where they just wouldn't open up or they wouldn't reach out or they wouldn't tell people they need help. And I have gotten into the whole circle the drain, depression, anxiety, loss of identity, loss of purpose thing that comes up with leaving the military. I know that it's not easy to be alone after service. I know what it's like to leave the military. I know what it's like to have gone through all those things and now try to be normal without the help. And having gotten the help, I know how much better it is after seeking help and going through counseling and getting the testosterone that was necessary for me to function as a man after my PTSD and TBI stopped sending the signal. Like, I legitimately, one day I went in, I was like, dude, doc, I gained like 40 pounds in the last 3 months. I'm training for an Ironman. I'm not sleeping. And even if I slept 12 hours, I'd feel like I didn't sleep. I'm like doing, shotgunning Rip-Its at 2 p.m. to try to make it to 4 p.m. Like, it is a whole mess. What is wrong? My testosterone was 170, which any of you who understand testosterone know, that's like 90-year-old man. That is not good. That is like no more morning wood, no more nothing. You don't feel like a whole ass person. Bad, bad, bad. And I found out after doing a lot of digging, this is actually very common. Because PTSD messes with your testosterone. Stress messes with your testosterone. TBI, traumatic brain injury, like from getting blown up in Afghanistan, which happened to me, can actually stop your brain from sending the signal. So while my testicles do their job, my brain does not tell them to, so they don't work. They just lounge around like a bum collecting his freaking food stamps instead of going into work, when really, if someone just told him to get off the couch and go work, he'd be way better off. And so now, good old me on testosterone replacement, I feel like a whole ass person again. But those are all things that I had to go through and learn to get back to where I feel like myself and I feel whole and I can be okay in the day-to-day life functioning again. So look, again, just so that it's reiterated here, you did your part. It is time for you to go and get the benefits that you deserve and actually fight to get yourself back into the game and avoid all of these risks that come from circling the drain. It's not the place that you want to live. So yeah, you can sit in silence and frustration. Or you could actually learn how the system works, go through it, and then help me on this journey to educate other service members and veterans about how to achieve their benefits. Your benefits are not the finish line. Going and seeking help is not admitting defeat. It is the launch pad to getting back on your horse, riding off into the night, and feeling like a man again. Or a woman again, if you're a woman and you're watching this video, right? Like, nothing sexist here. But feeling like a whole ass person again comes from taking the time and energy to invest in yourself and get yourself back on that horse that is life. So look, if you've never used your VA loan, or you've never filed a disability claim, or you've never gone to the VA hospital, or you've just never stopped to seek out what benefits are available to you, please start today. You've earned it. And I want to help you on this journey. We have a ton of educational resources. We've got playlists and videos on how to file your disability claim, benefits that you might not know about with your disability claim, how to use your VA loan, the qualifications to use your VA loan, best strategies for your VA loan. In fact, I'm going to drop a QR code right here, and if you scan it, it'll take you to a place where you can get an introduction to a recommended agent or lender who can educate you and walk you through all of this from my network. And then I would offer that you should join our Facebook group, which is just Military Millionaire on Facebook. It's got 70,000 plus members. We've got a ton of great resources in there, free educational stuff. And if you'd like, I've got people that I can introduce you to help you file your VA claim. In the Military Millionaire community, we are on a mission to help 10,000 vets achieve financial freedom. The easiest way to do that is to help you maximize your benefits. VA loan, VA benefits, grants, education, all of these things that are offered to you. So we'd love to be a resource for that. We'd love to help you on your journey. Ask the questions, join our Facebook group, get involved. If you're serious about taking your investing in entrepreneurship to the next level, we've got a high-level group of service members and vets that we'd love to introduce you to, and you can scan this QR code for an intro to the war room. But I'm not here to push any of that on you. I want to provide you all the free resources and all the educational stuff to get you across that finish line and have you take care of yourself. And I say this in all the videos where I talk about anything mental or PTSD or anything like that. Go outside. Grab a service member or a veteran if you're struggling. Go out in the sun and walk. It will change your entire life. And I know when you're depressed, you don't want to leave the damn house. You want to sit in the dark corner in the basement and just mope. That's not the move. Get around a service member, get around a vet. I don't care if it's a local community. I don't care if it's an old friend. I don't care if it's someone you know. I don't care, whatever. The VFW, the RWA, the DAV, the VA itself, like, go freaking somewhere. Get around a service member or vet, ideally someone who served in the same time frame, but not a necessity, so that you speak the same damn language, and go for a walk in the sun, go for a ruck, go for a bike ride, go fishing. I don't care. Get out in the sun and experience life and hang out and rehash these things and talk about those real world issues and get back on your feet. The veteran community is a driving force in this nation, and we cannot afford to be sitting on our hindquarters living reactively when we should be living proactively and helping lead this nation into the future. Bottom line is this: you have benefits, you earned benefits. Get your pride out of the way, get the help you need, take the fight to the VA and go get everything you need, because the VA is here to help you. They're here to help you if you want to be helped. If you go in the VA and you have a attitude and you're like, they're going to screw me, then you're right. And if you go in the VA and you have a great attitude and you're like, they're here to help me the best way they can, then you're right. So just go get the help that you need. Talk to service members and vets. Let's rebuild this community and help save some lives. Have a great day. If you got something out of this video, let me know what meant the most to you. Tell me what helps you when you're struggling with rough times in the comments. Let me know what helps you. Subscribe and share it with a vet that's struggling or that's not struggling. You never know, right? But I love you guys. I hope you have a great day. Semper Fi.